Fine, fine. It'll take time. Good. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Passion Talks. Today we have a wonderful person with us, and she's Janvi. Sorry, surname I'll not be able to pronounce because the moment I say it, I'm sure I'll go wrong. But then that's fine. Welcome, everyone. This is a platform, Passion Talks, wherein we invite people who have been very, very inspiring. These people are the ones who have pushed themselves out of comfort zone, and these are the people, more than anything else, they've been very, very forthcoming in sharing their thoughts with everyone else. So that way I've been lucky that whenever I've approached everyone, they've been very kind enough to agree, and post the talk also, if there have been any questions, they've been able to address. And Janvi, I'm sure, will not say no, because she's such a sweet child. She's studying in class 12, for all those who have not believed after reading the brief, because so many things you achieve at such a young age. It surprises me because, as some of you might be knowing, my daughter, elder one, is in 10th. And once I see, I feel bad because I've not been able to give the exposure, the kind of exposure which children these days are getting. Right. So, without much of talking, welcome Janvi to the show. And
Thank you very
we'll
much,
start
sir.
with how did it all start. Take us right from, what should I say? I'll not even say 5 years or 6 years, because it started much before that. Over to you, Janvi.
Yes, so hello everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. So, well, to start on with, when my career started, I can proudly say that I am the only girl in the world where I started my career at a very, very young and tender age of 10 months. Yes, you heard it right. It is 10 months where you cannot expect a child to walk, talk, or express anything. So it was, you'll be surprised, like, how did I start? So it was because of my father. This all happened, and where I am today, it is all because of him. And my father was a very unique person throughout his life, and he always wanted to do something every time out of the way. So when somebody asked him to do this, he would do that thing, and he would prove them that no, anything is possible. So the main thing how this basically started of taking me to give me an exposure and experience to mountaineering and trekking is because my father was an avid traveler, and he used to travel a lot. And there were some circumstances where he got to listen about outside people telling that Indian girls are weaklings. They cannot do anything. Indian girls are only meant to be sitting in the kitchen, getting married and sent to their in-laws. Other than that, they are not eligible to do anything. So my father was furious. Like, he did not know what to do. So my father was in such a time that he never really wanted to marry, and he was forcefully pushed into the marriage, and I was born, and he took a vow that he spoke to my mom, and then they made a decision that why not we try. Like, my father back then, he used to conduct various treks for school students and colleges. So he used to conduct in Hyderabad itself. So that is how it all began. Like, out of everything, my parents have decided that they wanted to try it out and see how am I responding to various climates, and that is how it basically started. And when I was 2 3 years, I used to accompany him, and I would always be right in front with my dad, guiding him and then ordering all the kids. I am like this little tiny tot in the entire 200 member group, and I used to yell at everybody to walk fast, and then you have to come in line. And I'm telling all of this because I wouldn't have a memory of all of this back then, because I was just 2 and 3 years. But my father has documented each and every moment from what all he has started and what all he has done. So if you can see the photos which sir has shared in the group, so you would see one photo where my father is there and I'm at the back in a carry bag. So that is how it started, and that is a proof that that is all how it began. So I am telling this when I've seen my videos and my photographs, and I was shocked to see myself like that. So yeah, that is how it basically started.
So, as we say, the mountaineering was right in the genes itself. The moment you started off, 9 months, 10 months, you started going along with that and all. You know, unfortunately, we don't have your dad. Otherwise, would have been, amazing listening to the stories from him as well. But I'm sure if your mother agrees, that would be nice if you just come and say hello, because she would be equally proud
Yes.
of your achievements. If she's around, and I would love to see her if she's there. Would she be
Yes.
comfortable?
Yes. Just give me a second.
Sure, sure. Janvi, don't force her if she's not comfortable. It just happened to be because we were discussing so many things. As a child, you were discussing your childhood, so I thought it would be nice. So, guys, what Janvi said was, apart from what she's mentioned, her father was also a doctor, and he used to know the very well, or how the body responds, and that's how he exposed Janvi into expeditions, or to start with, small, knowing fully well that how the child is going to respond to the various kind of environments, and that obviously helped. Otherwise, at that young an age, generally people don't expose children to walking as well, right?
She'll be
So
joining shortly.
Janvi,
So yeah.
sure. Whenever she joins, that's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
So about this was the initial part. How
Yes.
did mountaineering as such came into place, and then not just mountaineering, seven summits. How did that thought come into play?
So well, like 2 3 years, as I said, it all continued, and then I had my regular childhood life, and I was put into various activities. I was a very active child. I started my Bharatanatyam dancing when I was 5, and then I started going to drawing and painting classes like when I was 7 or 6 years old. So I was into various activities from a very young age, because my father always believed that the child who is growing should be molded according to, the world. Like, the world is not a small world, so you need to be ready to accept and go ahead with anything that comes in your way. So he has taught us to be active in every field, like not only studies. He wanted us to
Right.
be an all rounder. So there was never a pressure from my parents that you have to score 99%. No, it was never like that.
Wow.
So it was always like, as much as you understood and you passed, that is more than enough for us. So that is how my childhood was going on. And then when I was 8 years old, I went to Rupkund. And then when I was 9 years, I went to, there was an expedition, like a trek in Uttarakhand. I believe it is in Uttarakhand, and it was the Kala Top which I went. So
Okay.
there I went through YHAI. So my father was he had a lifelong membership with YHAI. So he had to take a special permission. And when I reached the base, they made a huge fuss. Like, how can you take a 9-year-old girl? You cannot go. You cannot take. It's very risky. It's very cold. So my dad only
Right.
told one thing: I am taking her on my risk, my responsibility. So if anything happens to her, I am the person responsible. Nothing will be coming on your team. So taking
Right.
that responsibility, my father convinced to, convince the team leader, and then we went. And then the main thing what I've noticed in the entire group of 62 members was that there was 15 women out of the 62 member group, and out of that 15 women, I was the 9-year-old girl. So I asked my dad a question like, why isn't there anybody of my age? Because the mindset when you're at 9 and 10 years old, you want someone of your age whom you can talk to, you can play around, and
Company.
you have that company. You will be seeking for that company. So I didn't have that. So from a very young age, I was in between this adults group, and it was a bit awkward. But then I used to mingle with everybody. So I just had the doubt, and I asked my dad, like, why is it like that? Why aren't girls there? Leave about girls. Why aren't boys there? And then my dad
Correct.
told, once we finish this trek, let us go back home and then we'll discuss about it. So till then, you just have fun and enjoy. And
Right.
I'll just quote an incident from there. If you go into the Himalayan trekking, there is this pine trees and you have these beautiful flowers, the coniferous flowers. So
Correct.
I am this crazed person of collecting anything unique I find. And then I gave my entire backpack to my dad. And on my way, the entire trek, I collected this whole bunch of flowers and I distributed to my entire school. And
Wow.
once
I
we
think we've
started and
lost her.
once we came back home, my dad explained me, like, this is a very unique sport. Trekking and
Right.
mountaineering is a very unique sport. Unlike like any other sport, it has its own uniqueness. So the first thing what he made me understand is, when you get into the sport, you need to able to convince yourself whether you will be coming back or no, because you're playing, you are going to a place where there is no communication, where you do not know how the weather is going to be, and you just don't know anything until and unless you
Correct.
experience it. And then he also told that it is not yet it's not yet called a sport in India. There is
Right.
this, recently in the Olympics the rock climbing has come, but then it wasn't there before. It's just the recent inauguration that they have done for the rock climbing. So it is, he
Right.
told me it is very different sport, but it it is a transformation for oneself. So unlike like
Exactly.
any other sport, you have chances. Like if you lose this season, you can come back, you can work hard, you can train hard, and you can come back. But here, in spite of you working so much, spending so much of money, a small drop of poison spoils the entire water, food, whatever you do. So it is the same thing in mountaineering. You don't know what will happen, when, how. You just don't know. So you need to be ready. So one mistake is your last mistake on your mountain, on in your mountaineering life.
Exactly.
So he made me realize that. And then I was researching about mountaineering, and then I came across this person, Mali Mastan Babu sir, who is no more with us.
Yeah.
He's the fastest seven summiter in the world. So I came to know about him. My dad had a connection with him, so I came to know
Oh,
about
nice.
that seven peaks. And I was searching, like, is there anybody from India who has ever done that? And this I'm talking about in 2013. So this
Right.
was in 2013 which happened. And then I asked my dad, like, can I go for it? Then they said, like, yes, you can, but are you ready for it? Will you be able to go? Like, are you mentally strong? Then my dad, he knew, because he's a mental health doctor. And it's very easy to understand by the way you live. He has been noticing me from a very very young age. So more than my mom, I was more with my dad. So from 5 months he used to tie me around his chest and roam around. So he
Correct.
understood that I had the capability of doing it. He saw the potential in me. And that is when he told me that yes, we can try. And back then my dad was working in Bangalore as the GM for Jindal Nature Cure Hospital, the group of hospitals. So
Okay.
he left that, and it was a surprise for us, because he went for months together to Bangalore, and it was a surprise that he came, and he didn't even tell my mom. And we decided that we will start the seven summits. But before that, he told me that I will give you a test. And the test was, he told that there is a peak in Ladakh. You have to climb Stok Kangri. It's called the Stok Kangri peak. So before
Right.
that, for Stok Kangri training, because there was not much of awareness about various trekking back then, so my dad took me to Kalsubai. So my
Okay.
dad put on a little bit of weight on my shoulders and my backpack, and he told me walk. And like, okay, I'll do that. So he told, you can, get an idea of what heights feel like, how you you can have an experience. And then in
Right.
2014, in August, I climbed Stok Kangri. So I
Okay.
decided that I will summit on August 15. And I
Wow.
was 12 years. So it was very difficult for
Amazing.
people to accept that a 12-year-old girl is going to climb Stok Kangri. And it was
Correct.
never like that before. And previously, also, the youngest back then was 16 years old. And that was the person who issues the permit for climbing Stok Kangri right now. He's Sonam. So he was the
Okay.
one who created a record of being the youngest to climb at the age of 16. Okay, so
Wonderful.
I climbed Stok Kangri, and I was privileged to be guided by the company which takes care of the stock from the
Okay.
stock, the Mitra company. So I know the owner was awestruck to look at me. The energy I had, the energy I carried around in the base camp, and then everybody were, like pampering me. So I used to have access to the kitchen, and it was a very pleasant trip. And then the other guides who used to work for him, they used to ask me, "जानू तूने क्या कर दिया कि ताशी भाई, अब जो फॉरेनर्स आते हैं कितना भी डॉलर देने से भी वो नहीं गाइड करता है. It's been so many years." So the
Wow.
people there who were working, they asked me, तूने क्या जादू कर दिया उनके ऊपर कि वो खुद आके तुमको एक्लेमेटाइज लेके जा रहे हैं, तुमको समिट तक लेके गए हैं, तुम्हारा बैग सब कुछ उन्होंने तुम्हारा इतना ख्याल रखा है अपनी बेटी की तरह. एंड लाइक, what do I say? I didn't do anything. It, it was
Right.
it was the way I was. And my father had a little of incident there. Like, he had this kidney stone which erupted there.
Okay.
So I was so tense that I was going 10 to 10, 10 to 10 to, get a painkiller injection. And, at that point of time, to suppress a pain was, how you can relate it to how it is difficult to
Exactly.
compress that pain. So that is how Stok Kangri happened, and I became the youngest from India. And when I got my certificate, the person told me, "तूने तो मेरा record ही break कर दिया, 12 साल में चढ़ के तूने." So I'm like,
Correct.
okay. So that time I came to an understanding that, I can make a difference. Because at the age of 12, when I can climb such a difficult peak, and after coming back, when I shared the story, people have taken the motivation from me. And that is when I decided, that let anything come, I will continue this. I am never looking back. Because I understood,
Wow.
my body has responded so well that I was comfortable with anything that I would come across, let it be the food. And if you take an example of a human, uh, there are many instances where, people say कि भूख नहीं लगता है, प्यास नहीं लगता है, नींद नहीं आता
Exactly.
है. It's the opposite for me. Whenever I go to any expedition, I gain minimum of 5 kilos and come back. And my father
Wow.
always has a problem of sleeping, and he always complains that ये लड़की गधे घोड़े बेच के सोती है. So it is that
Wow.
sound sleep that I get, and it is like I am blessed to be in the mountains, to have this life. You know, until and unless it is said in the mountaineering field or in the sports field, adventure sports, until and unless the nature accepts you, you cannot be in it. So it is very important for one to understand that. And I have got to an understanding at a very early age because of my father, and I loved what I'm doing. So yeah, that is how it actually began.
Great. So Janvi, the thing which you have just said, I can just show you. I've got lots and lots of questions based on that. And if we go ahead with that, I'm sure we can go for 2, 3 hours. Important points only I'll discuss.
Yes.
Like the way you said that your body behaves very well at higher altitude, that gives you lots and lots of confidence. Because I remember we had a team member in Delhi. If you measure his BP will not never come correct. But once he goes to base camp, once he goes to camp on a Everest, everything will fall in place. He'll be very, very
Yes.
normal, and everybody else would be struggling, कि यार बीपी ज्यादा आ गया, बीपी कम आ गया, कोई प्रॉब्लम हो रहा. So that's a big, big blessing. That I
Yes.
think is a reason which pushes you that okay, things will go right. So that's a great story, and you reminded me of my team member, the one I discussed. And in fact, he's the only member out of 7 Indians who have reached the top of Everest without oxygen. The one I'm talking about. And since you have been there in those places, you can relate, how
Yes,
difficult
definitely.
it is to go without oxygen in those altitudes. Other thing for people, it's easy once you come to that a 12-year-old has climbed Stoke. But believe you me, I climbed when I was 42, and it's pain. Stoke is
Yes.
not easy at all.
And I would
So
also
all those who
like
are
to
listening,
mention
yeah,
Stock Kangri is such a peak that even the greatest of the mountaineers who have climbed Everest also sometimes fail to climb Stock Kangri. And it is a fact that the local guides mention this to whoever tells that Stock Kangri is easy.
yes,
In fact, it is definitely not, because it is at a 6,000-meter peak, and it is a trekkable peak. It is called the trekkable peak, but it is not. So whoever is
absolutely,
planning for Stock Kangri, make sure that you have the right guidance for your training first, which is very, very important, because without training, it is not possible at all. You might have the best of the equipments, the best of the guides, but without your self training, it is very difficult to even reach the base camp. Leave about the summit.
absolutely.
Reaching base camp only is very difficult.
Very right. And for all those people who think, that for Everest or for any expedition, you pay the Sherpa and climb, that generally doesn't happen. Sherpa is only going to help you, and at the end, it's you who is going to take one step or the second step and keep moving. Sherpas are only there for assistance. And as Janvi said, you've got to be well trained for that. Then only you'll be able to achieve that. So coming on to training, so tell me, you've done a basic course from HMI, which I mean, at this young an age, people don't allow you to climb. I mean, don't allow you to do a basic course. The minimum age is less. How did you manage that? And was it a basic course you did first, or did you do Kilimanjaro? Because on the 7 summits was the first peak you did. So which came
Yes.
first, the basic HMI course or the Kili?
Kilimanjaro came first because we didn't have that awareness of, there is something called as basic course that you have to do for mountaineering, or when you're in the sport, you have to do such courses. So we initially went with Kilimanjaro, and I submitted that even when I was 12 on October 2nd. And
Wow.
I climbed with my dad, and that was the first ever record that I created from the 7 summits, becoming India's youngest and Asia's youngest to climb at the
Wow.
age of 12 in 2014. So Kilimanjaro came first, and then the HMI came. As you said, that there is an age limit to do any course from the Indian
Correct.
institutes. So I had a special team of the underage group. So I was a part of this special course team, and
Okay.
it was a mix of the basic and advanced courses. So if you know
Okay.
the there are few lessons from the advanced courses also which were mixed. So it was called a
Okay.
special course. So that is how I finished my basic mountaineering course. and that was in 2014, I believe, in November or December, that period of time.
Oh, nice. So after Kili, which was your second seven summits?
It was in 2015 that I went to Elbrus. That's the Europe's highest peak. And it was a very special and unique peak for me because it was a very difficult decision that my parents had to take, because I traveled all by myself at the age of 13 with a group of 8 people from India, but I wasn't accompanied by my parents. So it was difficult, and I was 13, and I climbed Elbrus all by myself without my father's motivation. And yeah, because that year was the year in 2015 where my dad was detected with the last stage of lung cancer. So it was very difficult to, for him to travel and to climb.
Correct.
So my dad said, cancer आया तो आया, but तुम्हारा mission should not stop. Whatever you are doing, you should go ahead. So that was one main motivation for my dad to survive with cancer for 4 years. And it was a very crucial moment in my life because my dad was detected in March and I flew to Europe in July, the last third or fourth week of July. So,
Right.
the finances and the preparation and everything was a very crucial thing at that time. So, luckily, I was, uh, I was being called the world's youngest to climb Europe's highest peak, Mount Elbrus, at the age of 13. So the Indian embassy in Russia declared that I was the youngest in the world to climb Elbrus at the age of 13. So that was a
Wow.
huge accomplishment for me. And when I came back to India, I had such a good welcoming, like a gala welcoming at the Hyderabad airport, and I had four
Of course.
bouncers around me, and the bouncers unfortunately didn't know who my dad was, and they didn't allow my dad also to stand beside me. And then the news reporters asking, "Where is your father? Where is your father?" And then, "Sir, I am here." So he came running all the way from back, and
Wonderful.
he was introducing himself that I am Janvi's father. So it happened like that. So that was the second peak that I climbed.
I mean, I can't believe how proud your father would have been, knowing that the kind of things you've been going through, knowing that your father is not well, training on your own, going all the way all alone, without your father who was there with you for the early expeditions. So, and as we know, it's not just the physical part, the mental games which play on your mind once you're going for any summit, the kind of pressures are much, much more. So, I mean, I'm sure he would be very, very proud, not just then, now as well. And the thing which you said about not bothered only about exams, which unfortunately is the case with present times. You find all children 99%, 100%. So in these times, if somebody is motivating the children to go into this, I'm sure that's a big thing. We have another friend of ours who is also here. He's also training his daughter, Commander Ripuri. So I mean, it's good we have such awareness among people and motivate. So that's a great thing. Okay, after that, what happened? Which expedition did you do in the seven summits?
In the same year, in 2015, in December, I flew to Australia. So, as you know, it is the highest peak. Kosciuszko is the highest peak. So it is like a one-day trek. It's just the
Okay,
4,422 meters height. So the company the guide has told us that there is another challenge that is called the Ossitin Challenge. That is to climb the highest peaks of the Snowy Mountain Range in 4 days. So you need to climb 10
okay.
peaks in 4 days. So I
Oh,
told
wow.
that why not? So I done that, and I accomplished the Occitane challenge as well, along with Mount Kosciuszko. And yes, I was the youngest from India to do as well at the age of 14. Yes, I was 14 when I have done Kosciuszko. So that was also another. And I can proudly say that my father has accompanied me to Kosciuszko, and he has been the first ever person to climb a peak in spite of having cancer.
Amazing. You know,
So
that's what they say. The daughter pushing the father in spite of such hardships, because he knows that it matters so much to you and for him as well. And that's a motivation for him to keep pushing, knowing fully well, how the body is behaving when being in the fourth stage. So, I mean, amazing. And then, happened Denali. Denali is
yes.
got, it's not a normal thing. Denali is something which is extremely challenging. So tell us about that, because we don't find many people who have done Denali. We find other people who have done other expeditions. I'm sure not as old as you, much older than you, but then Denali, how was Denali experience? Do share about it.
I would say the best experience out of whichever peak I've climbed till now is Denali. You cannot compare any other peak with Denali, because that has, you know, made me realize that I was headstrong to do anything in life. It's not only about being so strong mentally in mountaineering, but also being strong even in my day to day life. And I could also say that Denali is even tougher than Mount Everest, because I would
Right.
say, because in Denali you don't have Sherpas, unlike how you have Sherpas for your rotation to keep your luggage higher up the camps. Here
Right.
in Denali, you are supposed to carry your own luggage, and if you are going with a team, you have to even carry the team's important essentials also on the way up. So you
Correct.
can imagine the kind of strength and the mental uh, challenge you will be facing. And there is a climb on Denali where you have to go from 14,000 feet camp to 17,000 feet camp, and where it is a ridge climb. So if you can relate what is a ridge, it is the mountain where you are walking on the top of the mountain, and either of the sides you don't have anything, and you cannot stand with both your feet parallel. You have to stand one ahead, one behind. So it is like that. And this ridge climb, it is not a flat climb, it is an inclinated climb. So you can imagine the kind of pressure you're having in your mind, where you don't have anything to catch. It's just the roping up between you and your guide, and you have your ice axe, and you have your
Right.
backpack, and you have to climb, keeping in mind that even if your leg slips, it's only the person who is roped up to you can save you.
Yeah.
There is nothing around, not stone, there is no stone, and there is nothing, it's all snow. How long can you have a grip on snow? You cannot. Even if you
Right.
try anchoring yourself with your ice sack by doing the self arrest, it isn't possible. You will pull the person who is even tagged along with you. So this is a kind of, mental pressure that goes through you when you're climbing this part of the mountain during the expedition, and the weather is very uncertain. Like in the morning it will be clear sunny day, and just within 10-15 minutes you have the snowstorm coming in, you have the wind hitting you, your tents flying around. It's just, you just cannot imagine. And there is this one person whom I met. He was coming back to the base camp, and he had this sledge. So he had 40 kilos, or I don't remember the exact weight of his load. But he said the wind was so high, even his sledge went swirling around in that climate. So you can imagine, in spite of
Wow.
having your sledge with your
So much of
luggage,
it.
and the wind is, you know deviating you from your track. So it is very difficult. And when you are going with a team, You have to make sure that you help the team members and the guides to set up the camps, to dig your kitchen tent and everything. So the amount of energy loss you have on Denali is nothing compared to any other expedition you will ever go. So
True that.
it is given a huge experience and knowledge for me as to what actual mountaineering feels like.
True. And I would like to tell the viewers, for Denali, Janvi's father was there till the base camp, and after that, she was again all alone. So,
Yes.
I was, the moment you were saying, when I was that old, I didn't even know what the spelling of ridge, leave alone what ridge actually is. So, the kind of exposure you get doing such activities is, has the kind of commitment. But then again, it forced me to think, with so much of hardship, why would somebody keep doing all these things? Because it's not, right now, it's good to boast about it, but then once you're actually doing this, there's a lot of pain which is involved.
Yes.
So what makes you during such times once you're there in such difficult situations?
Yes, there was certain times where it came to my mind, when I'm walking, what am I doing here? All of my friends are back home enjoying their teen life. They are hanging out with friends and everything. But then I
Right.
realized that if I am here at this moment is only because I am chosen to do this. If I wasn't chosen to do this, I wouldn't have been there or where I am right now. So my father made me, realize my potential, like what I was capable of doing. And I never regretted that I don't have friends, nor I, hanged out with my friends, or, had that normal teenage life. Yes, I missed my normal teenage life, but it is for the good of myself. I have learned so many things which I can proudly say that at my age, nobody would have learned those things at my age. So it is a privilege and it's a golden opportunity for me to learn about life and people at such a young age because I had that chance and I had that opportunity. So
Correct.
yeah. So yeah, and
And
I have
thanks.
felt that satisfaction, when you are doing something on your own, where, you put your whole heart and soul and you have worked so hard, and there are people who are actually praising you to do it. You would never want to go back, or, you would never want to regret what you are doing. So it has always been a great satisfaction for whatever I did.
Amazing, Zanvi. So, four summits, four attempts, all four of the seven summits done. That's a big, big thing, especially at your age. Though it's big thing for anyone who would attempt such a thing, but for your age, I'm sure it's a big thing to even think about. And so I'll tell the viewers, in case there are any questions you have, feel free to ask because we take subsequently, so you can write it down in the chat box. So after all this done, we came last year, which was 2019, and came Everest. Which was I'll not say a failure because it's never a failure once you mount it. You are not
Yes.
able to summit. So take
Yes.
us through that journey. What do you think went wrong? Because uh, I didn't know you were there. Never met at the Everest. It's only later on we once through Bharat we came to know that okay, Janvi's been doing so many things, and then that's when we connected.
Yes.
So, how was it on Everest? What went wrong? Lessons learned? Because, as we said, lessons from such episodes are much, much more important than reaching the top. So,
Yes.
go through that, please.
So the first and most important thing what I would tell anybody is the most essential thing is your training. Without training, it is very difficult to challenge yourself. And for me, it was a major drawback because my father back then in 2019, he was in a very bad condition, and he was completely bedridden. So you know how much it costs to climb Everest. So it was only me and my mom who was running behind to collect that huge amount of funds. So you can imagine the kind of pressure that I was going through. And,
Right.
you know, it is very difficult to focus on your training when you have such a big task of collecting funds. And for me, though I have done so many clients, so many expeditions, I don't have any major sponsors. Everything what I have done till now is all self-financed, and my dad has put everything that he has earned through his whole of 50 years of his lifetime. And it is very difficult.
Wow.
It was very difficult for me, especially, to come through that stage, because I was all by myself. And I was the one training myself. My mom used to go to work, and I also had to take care of my dad, who used to be alone in the morning times when I used to go for training. And it was hampering my training, so I couldn't do anything. So I was helpless. But somehow the funds came in, and everything was, sub last minute mein it was settled, and I went for the Everest expedition. And then the major drawback what I faced for me not submitting was I didn't have proper acclimatization, and I didn't have enough rotations on the peak. So for those who all know and don't know what is rotation, is basically to climb as many as times from base camp to camp 1, camp 2, and then return back till how much ever your body is able to take it. So it is basically
Right.
to make your body acclimatized to the surroundings, your testing your oxygen levels, and basically to get acquainted with the climate you are into. Because you are at base camp at 5,000 feet, that is 17,000 feet, and the oxygen is almost 60%. And when you are back in your country, you are living with 100% of oxygen. So it is very
Right.
difficult for a human body to get adjusted to that kind of oxygen levels in the mountain. And it is very, very important for a human body to acclimatize in the mountains. So without acclimatization, I would tell it is not possible for you to accomplish or summit any peak, because if your body is not well acclimatized, there are higher chances of getting altitude sickness. That is what I have faced during my summit climb. And
Right.
it was not severe, but I initially took a step back, because I know that I have another chance. Mountain isn't going anywhere, but once if I would have pushed myself higher up the mountain, practically speaking, I would have been in that list of people who have lost their lives last year during the expedition. Because
Obviously.
you never know what would happen. Either I would have lost any of my fingers or my toes, or anything could have happened. But I thought that the decision I took at that certain time was the best decision that I've ever made in my career. So I felt that, Sagar Mata has given me an other opportunity for me to come back with a better training and better understanding of my body, and choosing the right Sherpas, and learning a lot. Like now, though, that I have an experience of already climbing once till camp 2, I also have a better understanding of how better I can do. Let it be from the starting from the Lukla trekking to base camp, or from camp 1 to camp 2, or the diet I have to take care of, or the training that I have to take care of. So I have an idea. So it is not that I'm a failure, but this failure has given me a stepping stone for a better successful climb in the future. So
No, it's
yeah, Everest was such a very good dream, like a very good experience for me. Though I didn't summit, my dad, didn't get disappointed, because it was his life's dream to see me on the top of Everest. And it was actually our dream, to climb the 7 peaks and do the South Pole, North Pole, and become the youngest in the world. But it is okay. Like, record is not the main criteria for me. It is only about learning out of your experience and how better you can give that learning to other people who are trying to, go for any peak, for any expedition. It doesn't matter, it should be only Everest. So it is a complete
Absolutely.
knowledge you get for any peak that you're going. So yeah, climbing is all about learning and failing and going back again.
True, true. No, I must congratulate you for the decision because nobody is, generally people are not sensible once they start climbing. The ego overpowers their mental faculties, and that's why the problem. And as you mentioned, there were last year 18 people who died in that Himalayan region going for Everest or
Yes,
peaks nearby. So there's no point adding, making 19 once all 18 were already there. And
yes,
unfortunately, there were a lot of Indians as well. So I must say, great decision. And for those people who would not understand in the initial part, acclimatization is something where you need to adjust your body to higher altitudes. For example, since I was there and Bharat also here, who was there, we both were there along with Janvi last year, but Bharat and we did a lot of rotations. Us being the army team, we did 4 rotations. We went till half of Camp 1 in the first, then Camp 1, then we went to Camp 2, then we went to Camp 3. So once you rotate, you do so many rotations, then your body is well acclimatized to low oxygen levels, and then you can climb much easier. Climb becomes much much easier. And the reason some people are not made to do so many rotations, the Sherpas have to strike a balance, or the team leader, I would say, needs to strike a balance that whether you should do more rotations because more rotations would mean more fatigue as well. And once you're going for the final summit push, then you might not have that kind of energy. So the team leader in this case becomes very, very important. We have people here who would be attempting Everest next year or subsequently. So it's important to understand body type, whether you are one of those who would be able to do a lot of rotations or you can manage with less rotations, which generally is not the case. So that's the issue. So, so Janvi, other thing that would come, you did attempt for Everest last year, and then last year also you tried another expedition. So what was that? Concagua you tried. What was their the experience?
so Aconcagua also was another important peak for me, because I climbed that in a less span of me losing my dad last year in July. So I went to Aconcagua in December, and it was not easy for me to take that step and get myself back on track. And it was my mother's motivation. She was the one to be behind me, because all this hard work, if I don't continue, that name which I earned would slowly fade away. And that wasn't a very simple thing to let go, because my
Right.
father has sacrificed his entire life. And just because something had happened in my family, it doesn't mean that I should stop what I was doing, because it was my dad's dream. and uh,
True.
and I wanted to do it. But unfortunately, while on the summit day, there was a very bad weather just before the last 400 meters from the summit. So it was like, I stood there for a moment and I told myself, this is not happening. Like, this is definitely not happening. Just the last 400 meters, I cannot walk back. But I had to take that decision, because the guides were very careful, and they were
Right.
being very responsible about the climber. And it was a very, very difficult situation, because I personally know what was a hard work I have done to leave about my training, leave about how I climbed and everything. It was mostly about how hard I worked to gain the funds, because what I believe for a middle class family, more than if a person is climbing, more than climbing the peak, collecting funds is the most difficult part in the process, because the amount you collect and the amount you get to see, it is very difficult to manage to fund yourself all by yourself when you don't have major sponsors. So it was like very heartbreaking for me to come back, but I didn't have any other choice and I had to make that
I'm
decision.
sure.
And I was like, okay. I waited there. I was requesting my guides that I don't have another chance. I don't have another chance. But I told myself, like, this time it isn't happening. Just go back. You will come back better. So these were the two failures that I faced in my Seven Summits journey, and it was a very tough call. And yeah, there's a lot of learning from it. And the more I believe is that the more you understand your weakness, the next time you can go more stronger. Let it be anything. It's not only about mountaineering, it's also in your day to day life, also. Like, the more you understand what your weaknesses are, the more you accomplish your tasks in your life, your goals, and your dreams, whatever you want to achieve.
True. No, John, I'll not agree once you say these are the two failures you had, because the kind of things you have done. I mean, everybody else is a failure if you say that these were the two failures you had. So because the list of achievements you have, we to see anyone who has got so many things you have done. You have done uh, TED talks. Not just one, you have done three TED talks. I've been trying for 45 years. I have not been able to do. I have not even seen it in person. So the kind of things you've done, you can never say that you've not been able to. Yeah, things do get wrong, but then you become a better person, and you have learned so many things from those experiences. That is much important. And TED talks is just one of things which I mentioned. There's a host of other things which you have done. So tell us about that experience, because it's not every day, or I mean, I've hardly seen anyone who in class 12th and who has been exposed to so much in life. So that experience of sharing your experiences with people, motivating them, how is that feeling? And for
So
instance,
basically, if all the audience would have been wondering that why am I still in 12th and I'm 18 years old, it's because I have given a break after my 10th class, and I have been traveling and taking care of my dad, and I was there on this journey of sharing my experience with people, going on various platforms that I can hardly count on my fingers. Like, I've been to so many platforms, like name it, colleges, schools, MNCs, and I've been traveling also to various places to deliver my talks and share my experience. Well, I've been tagged along as a motivational speaker, but I don't really like to be called a motivational speaker, because motivation सबके अंदर है. It is there in everybody. It's just that trigger which needs to be sparked with one person who has achieved something. So I believe that I could make a difference, and that is why, and that is when I have started to go on stages and share my experience and relate it to how mountaineering and my life has been a train, like parallel tracks, and that is how I share my journey. And and fortunately, I've been the voice of so many people, for so many people, to come out of their comfort zones and start accomplishing what they thought that they never could do. So it makes me feel proud that yes, at least I could make a difference in one person's life. So it is very important, and because my dad has taught me that in your life, let it be whatever you do, it doesn't matter, but all matters is the tracks that you leave behind in your life, and how many people look back at those tracks and say that yes, she has done it or he has done it, so why can't I do it? So I believed in
Absolutely.
that, and I can also proudly say that I have been as a guide and a trainer for various groups that my father has been conducting, and luckily I also have a world record on my cap, for being the youngest guide for a 26 team member children or school children to ever
Wow.
accomplish Everest Base Camp trek. So that is where, if you, sir, you must be knowing Samanyu. So he was,
Yeah, yeah, Saman.
so he's my student. So I can proudly say that. So because of my dad and all the training that we have given him, and he has, loved what he's doing, and I'm really proud of him, of what he has accomplished till now in such a young age because of his parents' support. And for anybody who would, there's a question I think I've seen in the chat box. How would I encourage the young boys and girls to come into this field? So I would say that it is not always to be a pressure on your child to put on them, because until and unless they understand that this is what they like to do, how much ever you push them, they will not be able to do it. So it is always said that you should have that guiding leash on your hand, but not the one to let go of that leash. You need to give them the exposure to anything whatever they want to do, and if they don't, just don't be disappointed in them, because they might be good in something else. And this is the case in most of the families where, if the parent didn't achieve that in their life, they will pressurize it on their children. And it is not suggested, and my parents have never done that. My father, being a doctor, he never pressurized me into going into the science stream and becoming a doctor. But initially, yes, looking at my dad, I thought that yes, I want to be a doctor as well. But it changes. So it is very important to understand the child's, let it be a boy, let it be a girl, it is very important to understand what is their likes and dislikes, and then give them the right direction to go ahead to do whatever. Because I have been learning this looking at my dad, the way he brought me up and the way he guided and led a direction to various people, many people on his way. So I would give this suggestion to that question, like how do I give my suggestions to anybody wanting to go into this field.
Great. So we'll just quickly go through the questions here. So Dimple, she wants to know, Janvi, at what age did you do the mountaineering course?
I was 13 in it was in
13.
2014 that I did my course.
Right. So we have covered that earlier because I think she must have joined a bit late, so
Yeah.
she didn't understand that it was a special course which was conducted.
Yes.
Okay, Commander Rasuri, he wants to know that how did your father agree to it? You know that you. I'm sure this again because he saw the potential in you and your interest in those activities. And I think he realized that
Yes.
this girl is not going to stop before that. Again, Rasuri sir wants to know what is the message you would like to give this year. Just word. Pranjal says this inspirational. Which year did you climb Denali?
I climbed in 2016
Okay.
in July.
Commander Karth. Okay. Pranjal says grateful. Karthik Sundaram, he says that you are in 12th and this year school disturbed because of pandemic. How are you training to attempt for Everest other peaks in future? And
Well, with the current situation, you never know what is going to happen. So it is difficult to plan for anything at this moment because the economy has gone so down. And I personally cannot, earn right now because I'm still studying and I can't look for a job and, pay for my own expeditions. So I have to definitely look for sponsors. And right now, because of this pandemic, it wouldn't be a good gesture to ask people to help you achieve something that you want to do. So I think I would take some time for this pandemic to cool down, and then probably I would take some steps, to complete this mission, because it is very difficult at this moment to, either train. Even if you train in Hyderabad, there is not much of mountains around to even acclimatize yourself, because it is in a Deccan plateau. All you can do is general fitness, that you can go for it. But for major expeditions, I don't think it would be the right moment to
True.
to even have a thought of it. What will I do for my future about it?
Absolutely. So, and Hyderabad, as such, the conditions are going from bad to worse everywhere. In fact,
Yes,
not just in
yes.
Hyderabad, in the whole of country. So the thing, another adventurer, Baba, he wants to know what are future plan climbing and academics.
Well,
Anything?
I would probably go into the business field only because my father has um recognized our company called Janjay Adventures, from which we normally organize our treks. And so I want to make that as a mark globally. And I want to not only organize treks and expeditions, but also to give an awareness and take people into the right direction. Because I believe that after me having so much of experience, and I proudly say that I'm 18 years and I have 17 years of experience. So it all comes from experience of what you do throughout your life. So I can say proudly that more than anybody else who has been in this field, I have that vast experience, and I have the capability and ability to share it and show people the right direction for it. And for me, sharing my knowledge and making people understand what it takes, it would be my pleasure to make people understand and guide them and achieve what they want to do. And so this is what I want to do in my future for my daily living. So I want to be the person to get as many as people into this field, and with proper precautions, because that is very very important. And when you say that you want to organize treks or an expedition, we need to make it sure and be so responsible, because you are taking a person's life in your hand, and it is not that easy. So you need to be so ready. And so that is what I'm being planning right now, that I want to be that person where people can just walk to me, and get any kind of information they want about the mountaineering, or how to do, or let it be about the training, XYZ. So yeah.
Great, Jani. So, so much of wisdom, such young age, amazing. And we all wish that you keep training, you keep getting sponsors, people keep sponsoring you, the kind of things you have done. I'm sure no one else has, at least I'm not aware of anyone who has done anything close to this. So all the very best, Janvi. It was amazing hosting you and great lessons for everyone. I'm sure everybody enjoyed as much as we did getting Janvi to you. Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed it. All the very best.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be a part of Passion Talks, and I've come across so many people that I never heard, and the kind of things all of them are doing is incredible. And I would like to also thank you for creating this group and connecting with such wonderful people. And thank you for having me for the show.
And bye. Good night,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.